Okay, everybody, good evening and welcome to the Oakham Town Council Meeting. It's Wednesday the 2nd of September. It's the 10th of September. I'm just testing you all there. Okay. So, and it is 7:30, which is now starting. Welcome to all the members of the public that are here this evening. I understand nobody wishes to make a deputation tonight. Is that correct?
Only if my parking's going to be taken away, I wish to make it a very great deputation.
We'll bear that in mind. Okay then, right. So obviously since new regulations have started recently, a member of the public is allowed to film the proceedings. We're happy to facilitate that in the corner over there if anybody has any problems with that. Unfortunately, we can't ask for the filming not to take place, but we do ask Mr. Brooks to be respectful of people within the when he's doing his filming. Okay? Okay. Right. So, on with business. Allowed filming to take place. So obviously this is a change to our standing orders. So as we haven't actually changed our standing orders yet, I do require a vote to waiver the objection to filming at the beginning of this meeting. So could I have a proposer to
John,
waive
thank you.
that? Thank you. And seconded by Leanne. All those in favour?
Yes.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll start with apologies. We have two apologies this evening. Our first one is from Councillor Lucas Joyce, who has a long-standing arrangement commitment this evening, so is not able to be here. Can I have a proposer? Stand, seconded by all those in favour? Thank you very much. And our second apology is from Maureen Dodds, who has long-term illness currently. So can I have a proposer for Maureen? Seconded by and all those in favour of acceptance? Thank you very much. Okay. Declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare pride any disclosable pecuniary interest they may have in respect of any items on the agenda, and any other interest they may have in respect of items on the agenda. Does anybody have any declarations to make this evening?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I also remind members if they have any change to their register of interest that they inform each other as soon as possible, so those can be changed on the system. Any changes that we're aware of? No. Okay, so we'll just move on to the minutes of the last meeting. Any issues with that? Leanne and Adam weren't present at that meeting, so they need to abstain from this particular section. Any comments? Accepted by Stan, seconded by all those that were there in favour?
Two abstentions.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've read. Councillors' questions. We haven't had any notified for this evening. I'll move on from that. Chairman's and members' report. I have circulated a table of the events and things that I've been attending during the summer. August is traditionally a sort of fairly quiet period, so I've had a little bit of respite this time. But it is picking up again. From September, started this evening, of course, with the meeting of the retreat in the town centre there. I don't know whether any of you were present, but it was a very enjoyable event, as always. I haven't been to any other meetings that I need to report on. Has anybody else got anything to report? I believe you have, Leanne, haven't you? As chair of the planning subcommittee.
Yes, we do. We thought after 2 months of operation we should come back and report to the council on what we've been doing. For the past 2 months, the planning subcommittee has considered all the planning applications on behalf of the council. All 3 of the committee members have received special training in planning regulations and our role within them. This training was hugely successful, with all of us feeling much more confident in our roles and how our decisions should be considered and presented. We've had a limited selection of applications. Most of these have been trees, and I believe the last council dealt with 2 tree applications as well. A fair selection has been very simple extensions with no objections on either side and no reasons for refusal. One of the main reasons is obviously overlooking. No one's been overlooked. The one standout application was Moby Lodge at our last meeting. Whilst the owners were unhappy with our decision to refuse, we had to look at all the considerations from a commercial or domestic and from a historic preservation point of view. Deciding something about someone else's property is never easy, and a great deal of thought and work went into that decision. As a committee, we felt it important that we explain the process for how we reach our decisions to the council and to the public so that it be completely transparent. Once we have received all of the applications to be reviewed and considered, all of the committee look at the plans online before the meeting. If there are any objections or we can see any potential problems from the plans, we arrange a site visit with the owners and with the objector if possible. I want to make a note on our site visits. Those site visits are perfectly legal with the permission of the property owner. When we call, we identify who we are and what our purpose is. We also very clearly state that if they do not wish us to enter the property, they are not obliged to let us visit. It is entirely at the discretion of the owner and the objector. A site visit obviously gives us a greater understanding of all the perspectives on the application and is a fantastic way of engaging with the public on issues that have a huge impact on their lives. We've also been in contact with RCC and are arranging a meeting with them to discuss how we can have a greater impact and presence within the Planning Commission and decisions made about Oakham. Hopefully this meeting will take place within the next month and we will have a much clearer way forward with making our decisions have a bigger impact at County Council level. We want to be able to speak at planning meetings and to discuss the applications rather than just giving written comments on a piece of paper. We are aiming to have at least one member at each RCC planning meeting in the future to ensure we are building a presence within the planning department itself. We would also like to, with the support of the Council, publish an article explaining what the committee does and how to get in contact with us directly. We feel that we can raise the profile of the committee and the Council and encourage members of the public to get more involved in planning decisions that affect them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really interesting. It's good to hear exactly what's going on and the background to how that group is progressing. It certainly sounds impressive. Thank you very much. Anybody else got any committee meetings? No?
This is in front of you, so just going down it, budget 2015-2016, Finance Working Group considers that at the current time there are a number of significant variables that make the drafting of the first budget extremely difficult. It's hoped that most of these will be resolved by the October meeting of the Council. However, the Planning and Parks Committee will be asked to consider its requirements at the meeting scheduled for September the 24th. Asbestos surveys, arrangements have now been made to conduct asbestos surveys at the Tennis Club and Bowls Club. Play inspection, the various issues were identified in the last inspection. I have authorised works and ordered various items so that those works can be carried out. The Jail Street mural, the final designs for this have been approved. It's hoped that the formal unveiling of the mural will take place at the end of October. The floral displays, these will start being removed during the week commencing the 22nd of September, so they will be up for the freedom of entry. On-street parking restrictions, we've had some of these have come, various restrictions will be coming into force with work expected to finish during the first week of October. If any member would like a copy of these restrictions, then please contact the office. The Willow Crescent Play Area, the office has now received a request for a third-party funding contribution of £1,650. That was signed this evening. So that will be sent to them as soon as possible, which will then release the £15,000 grant awarded to the council by RED. Once this money has been received, the play equipment supplier will be instructed to start work at the site. Car park at Brook Hill Academy. Members are aware that myself and Councillor Jewis met with the council's solicitors to discuss various matters relating to the draft lease received from solicitors acting for the Woodland Trust. We have instructed the council solicitor to seek some changes to that draft lease, and we're waiting for a response. And finally, the Cemetery Joint Management Committee, the meeting of this will be taking place on Friday the 12th of September.
Okay, I'll just ask again in case anybody's changed their mind about having a deputation. The next item on our agenda is for the co-option of a new member to Oakham Town Council. They will be the member for Oakham North West Ward. We have undertaken an interview process or a discussion process with a panel which included myself, Councillor Stubbs and Councillor Lucas. We met with Mr Vincent Howard and Mr Alan Walters, and also for consideration is Mr Martin Brooks, who chose not to attend for interview. He had been interviewed previously for this position, so didn't need to be interviewed again. Okay, so from our interview process, I'm sure you've all had a chance to look at the applications that are in the pack anyway. Sorry? Oh yeah. So you've all had a chance to read that information as well about the candidates. I'll tell you which was the preferred candidate from our interview process. But prior to do that, just so that you understand the situation as far as the voting, everybody has a single vote. So what I will do is I will go through each candidate in turn, and if you could indicate by raising your hand which is your preferred candidate. Okay. Based on what you've read and also our recommendation. Mr Brooks was interviewed previously, interviewed very well on that occasion, and there was no reason he isn't eligible to join the council should he be voted in. Mr Howard, it was the first interview he'd had to join the council. Very nice gentleman, a local community man, works for the fire brigade and has been quite involved in scouting and other youth activities around the town. And Mr Walters, who you know, who's also interviewed very well, he is also a member of the local county council and came with lots of ideas and would have lots of useful skills towards enhancing our council, if you like, for want of a better description. The preference of all three members of the panel was for Mr Walters, so that we could recommend him as our preference. But obviously at this point we go to a vote. Okay. So I will go through them in order that they were interviewed, so that you can raise your hands accordingly. So the first person to be interviewed was Mr Howard, Vincent Howard. Votes for Mr Howard?
Yes, Chairman.
Yeah, 1, 2. Okay, thank you very much. And second for Mr Walters?
5 votes for Mr Walters.
And for Mr Brooks?
No votes for Mr Brooks.
Okay, so the overwhelming vote there is for Mr Walters, who chose this evening to leave the room during this voting process because he didn't thought that was the most appropriate thing to do. I don't know whether you want him to come back in. Just want to come back in. Sure. There's a chance to join us as councillor for Oakham North West Ward, if you wish to accept that offer. Okay. You are at this point, you can sign your declaration and join us at the table if you wish.
Yes, it's fine.
Would you like to do that? Pardon?
Sorry?
Do we need
have a
to?
slight adjournment?
Yeah, shall we have a adjournment just for a couple of minutes while Mr Waters gets himself together and signs the form? And have a proposal for that brief adjournment, yeah? So that'd be Alf and Stan. Everybody in favour of that? Okay. Mr Waters to our little pack. Okay, so we now move on to item 9. Which is authorisation to make a payment exceeding £5,000. This is a retrospective authorisation of payment. It's for the Ashland Outdoor Fitness and Support Equipment, which is now in. So can I have, yeah, okay, so John has proposed it, Leanne second. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Okay, then we move on to item 10, which is the fraud policy. It's to consider a fraud policy, agree on any changes and agree on the contents of the document. This principally enhances a document that we already have in place. I hope you've all had a chance to read it. Obviously it's quite an important document, although as fraud is quite rare amongst parish councils, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We all have to be vigilant for it, and certainly as part of the chairman's role I'll be taking part in the audit and checking files ad hoc, shall I say. So it's probably easier just to come in and do it rather than a pre-arranged, so we can do that. Does anybody have any questions or concerns to raise about this document? No? No? Okay. So can we have a proposal to accept it then? That's from John and all those in favour? Okay, item 11 is Systems of Internal Control, which is Appendix C. What is that? Light blue. This is essentially the same as last year. It's being checked and overseen to make sure it's up to date and meets all our requirements. Has anybody got any questions or concerns about this particular document? Can I have a proposer? Kelly proposes, John seconds. All those in favour of this document? Thank you very much. So we now move on to Appendix D. Which is the proposed off-street car parking charges and proposed on-street restrictions. And this paper has come to us previously, and we've asked for more information. I think you've heard a report in relation to this, so maybe you could talk us through it. Thank you.
Members will remember that 28th of May there was a report came before the council from the county council about restrictions on on-street parking. We did resolve to report our findings to the county council, but when it went to cabinet at the county council on the 19th of August, they found they hadn't consulted with us on changes in the parking in car parks and also on the restrictions regarding permits. So what they did then was to refer it back for consultation, which is now obviously before you. The position on the charges is that they're proposing that the first half and 1 hour tariffs be made free. But to compensate for that and to make sure that the cost is cost neutral, the additional costs are put on the longer stay parking. I can report to you that members of the local business community have been consulted on this, and although they welcome a reduction in car parking charges, they don't see that loading the long-term parking to be of an advantage. What it does, in fact, it really gives the short stay people a free park, but that doesn't really assist the businesses because they need a lot longer stay. And so what they're saying is that the county council should really be encouraging people to come to the town and stay longer. This proposal does not do that. What it does, it gives people a short stay in and out, rush in, rush out. Also, one of the other comments they made was that they do not understand why on market days the car parking charges rise by £1. Again, as they expect the county council to be to assist the town to provide more people coming in and staying longer, what it's doing is having the opposite effect by causing people not to come to Oakham. And you're finding now that, on the word of many retailers, that Wednesday is becoming quite a dead day, and people are not coming into town on a Wednesday for market day. So there's some concerns about this, and I'm not sure why they've chosen the first hour to be free. But if it's a no-cost increase to the county council, what is the reason for doing it? I'm not totally sure myself on this, apart from giving the people who pop in and pop out free parking. Also, you'll find that in addition there is consultation on residents' permit parking areas. I've got no comments to make on that. I mean, I think it's just a continuation of the present system. And I found that the local traders also have no comments to make on that, so it doesn't necessarily affect the local businesses. Thank you.
Open to the floor. Any comments on this?
Yeah, I'll make a comment. I think it's swings and roundabouts. I think it's a plus to get free car parking short term. I think it's a minus that people who work in the town have to pay more. But I think it avoids the fundamental issue, which in my view is that there's insufficient parking in town.
Right. I mean, my view on the free section is that I'm all for that free for the first 2 hours. I think the up to 2 hours should be made cheaper, so perhaps reduce that. Not necessarily to nothing, but to reduce that would encourage people to come in and use more car parking spaces. I agree, there's limited car parking spaces, and when popular things are happening in the town, there's Church Street is absolutely packed, and people do struggle then. And although at the weekends now the town has more of a buzz about it because there's more restaurants and things at the high street, people tend to sort of squash onto the high street and not use the car parks because presumably they don't find them particularly convenient. So I mean, I'm up for the. I mean, what we've got to do now really is put together some comments to go back to the council, which I think is quite important. So.
Well, I live on Station Road. I'm lucky I've got my own driveway, and all along Station Road are resident permit holder bays. They are completely empty during the day, but the space in front of mine, my neighbours and the next person's driveway are completely blocked. I've been blocked in by 3 cars before in my driveway, and because there's not a double yellow line there, there's a drop curb. There's nothing the parking can do about it. So for people who are living in this situation, it is particularly frustrating that people are choosing not to use the car parks. We need to make them more attractive because it's just dangerous. Cars are parked both sides of Station Road, and you've got lorries coming down there, coaches for the Oakham Private School and Brook Priory. It's just becoming downright dangerous. So I think we need to make a strong statement about what is going on in car parks when they're practically empty most days.
Picking up the point that Alf said, the concern that the traders reckon that Wednesdays is becoming like a bit, and I've driven into, I was in town today, and you wouldn't think it was market day. I think we should look very seriously at the reasons why, and if the reason is something to do with parking and the expenses, I think we should address that and think of a way around it. We've got to support the traders in the town, so I think it's essential for us to look at that very, very carefully.
Got anything you want to add there? No?
I suppose I should. Everyone else has. No, not doing it just with everyone else's. Working in Melton Mowbray, the parking charges on here with this proposed tariff makes it cheaper, a lot cheaper than Melton Mowbray. Melton Mowbray on market days on the Tuesday double their parking rate from 70p to £1.40. But they still have certain days where you can park for short periods of time, 40 minutes, where you don't have to pay anything. So the rates, from my perspective, from what I see here, are actually very competitive, and I think that's one of the things we should acknowledge if we've had some comments back to RCC, is that they are at least competitive rates. In actual fact, they're probably slightly cheaper than the trend if we look at Stafford and Boughton. Okay? From the point of view of the town sort of marketplace dying, I don't think that's the fault of the car parking. The marketplace is dying because traders aren't coming here. That's specifically the market on Wednesdays and Saturdays. If you look at the farmers market, farmers market has gone from strength to strength, and you have to look at the reasons for that. It's been well marketed, it's been well managed, and it is gaining momentum. And part of some of the longer term projects that are going off within the Oakham Town Partnership and other RCC consultations is to look at developing the inner market town development, the market town plans. So parking, I accept, is a major concern for Oakham. I think we need to pass back some positives on this. We acknowledge the fact that they're trying to make things cheaper for people to do only want to stop off for 20 minutes to go to the bank. Some people have said that there's not much to see in an hour and Oakham, so 20 minutes after hour isn't that bad. But that's a negative. So positives, it is cheap, it is good, it's a move forward. The only other thing I'd say that we go back to RCC is probably say, are they looking at monitoring this and then coming back at a later point with, if this doesn't work, what next? And can we be involved in further consultation?
Has anybody got any comments about the permits, the resident permit section? Does everybody feels that that is no particular issues with that? Okay, so you're saying, yeah.
I think one of the problems with this proposal is we don't know what the base information is. We don't know why they've come to this conclusion. So it's difficult to actually give back our views on this. And unless we're given more information, you know, we're not going to be able to do that. There is, I mean, I must take issue with Adam, because although Melton might be cheaper, I don't think other places are. From the information I've got, Stamford is more expensive than Oakham. But disregarding that, if the present charges are inhibiting people coming into the town, that's what we've got to look at, not whether it's cheaper or more expensive. If it is cheaper somewhere else, obviously people go to Melton to shop.
Sorry, Melton's a bit more expensive than us.
Well, the way around. Okay, whichever way around it is. But with all of this, I think we've got to be on the side of the retailers, as people already said, and we really must be able to attract people into the town. You look at the market on Wednesday, I wasn't in there today, but last week, there's a large gap now alongside the Whipper Inn. There's about 6 stores missing. There's a couple of stores missing on the other side. And the market itself seems at the moment to be dying for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. As you rightly say, the farmers market every third Saturday of the month is working very well. That's predominantly down to Rob. But it's something which we must be concerned about, and I think it's something we need to put to the County Council. And I would like to see more information for a start, because I'm unable to make any really drastic information out from this. All I can say is that if the County Council are keen on improving the footfall in the town, get people into the town, then I think they've got to give way a little bit, because we can't have free for an hour and then load the longer stay. That's just going to inhibit it. Okay.
to, what have you got? Have you got anything on your list? The general sort of comments are that it's relatively competitive to other local areas, which is some are a little bit more expensive, some are a bit cheaper. But that's as the comments have come from the table. Obviously, we don't have any facts on that.
Chair.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
The point you've mentioned, with respect, I don't think is relevant. It's a question of why are the members of the public not coming in? Or why are the traders not coming?
I agree with that about the thing. I think we're just.
I don't think we should compare whether
Okay,
or Stamford is expensive or cheap.
Okay, so what sort of comment would you like to send back about the tariff? Are we saying we're happy with this proposed tariff, or?
I think Chair, we need to acknowledge the fact that the council they have reduced down the tariff. That is a positive. In anybody's book, that's positive, it's cheaper. So we've got to acknowledge that, we have to be positive. We don't know why they've done that, but they've done it. Is it going to bring more trade? Remains to be seen, which is why I made the comment that we're then looking at, are they going to monitor it in the future, and will we get consultation on that? So, which goes to what Al said there, that where have we got this information from to come up with this plan, and are they going to monitor it, see if they're going to redo the plan?
Yeah, I mean, my question was going on from what I was saying before, was to say that really, there's lots of assumptions about why people park or not park, but we haven't got the answers to that. Mr. Walter, please.
I was watching an interesting programme on TV, I think it was last night, about parking enforcement, and one of the comments that was made was that people expect to pay for parking. And I think that's perfectly a reasonable comment to make. I'm not entirely sure that anyone I know of would avoid coming into Oakham because it's going to cost them 30 pence. It would cost them more than that in petrol or diesel to get here. So I'm not entirely sure I could support these proposals as they're put before us. It seems a perverse disincentive that prevents people staying for longer in the town to look at more shops or go for a meal or whatever. So I'll actually end up abstaining, whatever you say, because of the cross business with the county council, but I'm not entirely convinced.
Okay, so do we have any proposal for comment on the round the table then? Any consensus that?
I've got nothing further to add.
You've got nothing further to add. Okay. All right. Well, I'll make a proposal then, and I'll propose that we accept this tariff as it is presented, but we would like to be further consulted regarding what the outcome of this is, so further consultations in the future.
Although we accept the tariff for free parking, I'm not convinced that's going to be really effective, but we ought to be concerned about the loading of that additional tariff onto the long stay people. And I think we could say that that appears to be having a negative effect on the footfall in the town at the moment. And if that's the case, then it'll get worse.
Okay. So, can I have some thoughts on whether people feel then that this tariff is going to be detrimental to the encouraging people into town? We've got to come to a conclusion here. We need to have some consensus of whether we feel that that's a disincentive to come into town because the parking is slightly raised.
It could cost me neutral, which I believe it is.
I think the
I
think the proposal and the amended proposal pretty much cover it. And one of the things that maybe in future consultations to see if there's actually an increase in parking fines, because will people forget to go back, or will they miss their time slot if the traffic monitors are overzealous? Heaven forbid.
It's a good point. Good point. Okay, so the amended proposal then is that we accept the tariff with a comment that we feel the increase for the load, if you like, for the longer periods is likely to be detrimental to people attending the town. Is that disincentive is the word? Is that okay? So have you got that? So Al proposes that. I know I proposed it, Al seconded it.
I second.
Can we have a vote on that? So, on that proposal? So the proposal is that we accept the change in tariff with a comment that we feel that the loading is a disincentive, I can't even say that word, for people visiting the town, and that we need to monitor that in the future. Okay, so I proposed it, Al seconded it. Can we have a vote on that, please?
Yes. 6.
God, that was tough, wasn't it?
Yes.
Agreement on the vote.
Parking is tough.
Abstentions, Robbie.
Any against? One
Against.
against.
No, hang on. I thought it was an abstention.
Oh, abstentions. No, against and 2 abstentions.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I mean, we all heard Leanne's report back around the planning committee and its progress and how it's developing. Of course, Mr. Peter Lockett left us recently, and he was a member of that subgroup. So we do need another member to join that planning group. Can I ask if anybody may be interested in joining that group?
I will chair.
Okay. Mr. Walters is interested. Can I have a proposer? Sorry, did you want to put yourself on?
No. John didn't play.
No. So stand the element myself.
Okay. Proposed by Alf, seconded by Stan. Everybody in favour?
7. You're saying out.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Could have won 5.
Right, okay, we're now on to item 14, which is the Christmas tree, which is the Rotary Club Christmas tree that goes up in the square each year. We traditionally give them money towards the purchase of the tree, and the Rotary Club are asking for £200 towards the cost of this tree this year. Proposer, Leanne proposes. Sorry.
What's the cost of the tree, isn't it?
I don't know what they have not given us that. I haven't got that information. How much is it normally?
It's 450.
I think they did a good job.
It was better last year, wasn't it? Much nicer.
We did it, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had a proposer and a seconder.
Who seconded? John, thank you.
Sorry, did you want to
Yeah, there's something else that...
I'm not allowing you to speak, am
No, that's
I?
all right. In line with this, though, the council last year agreed to light the tree, and I presume we're going to be voting on that above a show.
Well, no, the lights have already been purchased last year, so
For
So
the
it's
tree.
not the same
It's
lights.
ongoing.
they'll be the same lighting as last year, right?
As long as we continue to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody, can we have a vote on that then? Everybody in favour?
Yay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Are we going to be involved in planning the carol singing or nativity?
If you would like, would you like to be involved?
Well, what I can do now is when I write to Mr. Miller, I can put your name down to sort of liaise with him on it, yeah?
We've not heard her voice, it's very good. It was the singing, yeah.
Are you offering to sing?
You can sing to me
On
some
the
Let's
tree?
Go again.
Yeah. I think you and your children make a lovely choir around the tree. Okay, item 15 is Remembrance Concert at All Saints Church in November. The this year takes place on the 8th. It's to authorise the expenditure up to £100 to cover the cost of printing, publicity, posters, hymn sheets for the event. This is a traditional event that of course we support. Okay, any questions before we No. Proposed by Leanne, seconded by Stan. A vote on that, please. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. Postcards. We have some copies of some postcards on the table. Has everybody had the opportunity to vote for their preferred design? Okay.
Rob hasn't.
If you'd like to have a look, Rob,
You have to tick three.
select your design.
And sorry, Alan as well.
We purchase postcards and then give them out to tourists or anybody who would like them, so that they can send them off around the country or to other countries and obviously promote our town. So it's a relatively cheap way of advertising ourselves and also showing off our attributes, I should say.
They were very popular during the Royal Visit.
Yeah, yeah. Once. Okay. Can I just? Yeah. So we'll just find. We've got our selection. Adam, I just needed to, I don't know if you're aware, do you know how much the postcards cost? Ish. I know it's put you on the spot because
No.
I haven't got that information. But obviously not.
But I believe there is.
£75 per thousand.
So there was something like that, and there is a budget. There's still money in the budget, isn't there, Richard, for the emotions working group, which would more than cover it.
Okay.
Thank you, and Rob will say something.
I think I would have to say that I don't actually agree with us buying postcards.
Okay.
Because if anyone wants to buy a postcard, they can use the shops around about to buy a postcard. But
You're not saying this is killing the town, are you, Rob?
I think that's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But your comments are noted. Thank you very much. Okay.
You were talking, it's quite.
So okay, it is a reasonable point. I would consider that.
I would actually, on a serious note, the person that took the photos and actually brought them to our table made a point of checking local retailers, i.e. like Castle and the museum, to make sure they had postcards of a similar style. In other words, the pictures, so we didn't replicate. So in other words, if people wanted pictures of certain things, we weren't taking
Treading
those.
on a risk.
I can support that because there was a picture of a church fire and that was dropped.
Ah, yes, exactly. Thank you.
Because they have their own. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so can I have a proposal to authorise the expenditure for the printing of these? There is money in the budget anyway, so John
Second item.
seconded by Adam. All those in favour?
6.
And those against? And we have 2 against.
Do you want to record it? No.
Thank you. Chair.
Okay, number 17 is amendment to standing orders. This is some amendments that Alf and Rob have gone through the standing orders and just updated them. Actually, I hadn't realised they said he all the way through. Which is obviously not on, is it? So has everybody had a chance to look at them? I know the bits that have been amended have been highlighted in bold print, so we can see where any changes have been taking place. Any comments or concerns about that? Oh yeah, sorry. I do need to add at this point, I thought that was coming on a little bit later, but I need to add it in because it's part of the standing orders, is that one element of those standing orders that we're not considering this evening is the recording of the meetings. So although that is in there and shows amendment, we're actually going to propose that we defer that section. The reason for that being There has been lots of information coming out about the law in relation to filming, and we need to make sure our standing orders truly and correctly reflect those, both the law and what how we cover that element of it. So, if I can have a proposal other than the mobile communication recording of meetings section. It also comes into section 1, where we have just deleted, where it says you cannot, we've just taken the not out, basically, on that one. So a little bit confusing, but there have been changes throughout standing orders, but that particular section and in relation to recording, we will bring back to a further meeting for people to consider. Is that okay? I think that's covered it, hasn't it?
Yes, Chairman, yeah.
Okay. So can I have a... Sorry, did you want to speak?
No, I've just got
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Although I've only been to a couple of other parish councils and unfortunately no one was absent from them, I'm always surprised we sit here and approve people's absence. Do we have to do that? I've not seen it at other meetings. They're not here.
It helps if it's a prolonged absence, Alan. If the reason for the absence is recorded, then as you're aware, if somebody doesn't attend a council meeting for 6 months, they can be disqualified. And a few meetings ago, members voted to approve Councillor Dodds' absence through ill health, because that was minuted all throughout the previous 6 months. So if the reason for the absence isn't known, that makes that more difficult, to see what's meant to approve the absence. I don't believe it's a legal requirement, but it's something that Oakham Town Council has always done.
Thank you, I appreciate the answer and I do understand having seen that process happen. It just seems a little antiquated, if you don't mind me saying so. So it's just a thought for the next time that we review it.
They are reviewed annually as part of the policies and procedures, so maybe we'll bring that up at the next, as you say, at the next review. Can I have a proposal to accept the changes other than the ones that we've identified as being deferred? Sorry, do you want to say
Yeah,
something?
could you just clarify the bit of section 1? I don't quite understand.
Right, well originally yes, sorry Chairman, 1M is the one that says currently, and is the one that was waived at the start of the meeting, photographing, recording, broadcasting, etc. By any means is not permitted without the council's prior written consent. The original, what you've got there is that was going to be deleted and a new standing order was going to be put in at number 35.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, advice that we have had is that that standing order can become compliant with the new regulations merely by removing the word not. So it then said by any means is permitted without council's prior written consent. But that's not what is in front of you there. So anything that relates to the recording of meetings will be brought back to a future meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't make that change. Okay. So, proposal by Alf, seconded by John. Can I have approval or for that, please?
Thank you.
Okay, and likewise, we were going to discuss the draft protocol for the recording of the meeting. You do obviously still have a copy of that, so it is worth sort of reading that and bearing it in mind. But again, in light of further information and legal requirements, we need to revisit that before it's presented to the council for approval. So can I have a proposal to defer that and seconded by Leanne, and all those in favour? It's not lingering around. Okay, number 19 is the schedule of payments. Has everybody had a chance to have a look at the payments as within your pack? Any questions, queries, concerns, congratulations around these? Okay.
I propose accepting.
Okay, we've got the proposal from John, seconded by Scan. All those in favour of acceptance of those payment schedules? Thank you very much. Okay.
Can you just put that top one, Jack, to the top one? The top one? No, no, not doing that.
You've got it.
That's okay.
Okay. And then just finally, before we go on to the planning application, statement of accounts, report on various flexible budgets. Any questions you need to report in?
Yes, Chairman, if I could just draw attention to a few of them there, because the variances are above the 15% limit in stipulated in financial regulations. 22 legal expenses, you can see actually up until the 1st of September there have been no payments made whatsoever. The flex budget for legal was divided evenly over 12 months. So that's why that is so high, because there have been no payments, although we have made one now. That's that one. 41 promotion of Oakham. You can see obviously that again this is divided equally over 12 months. Very little of that money has been spent. Obviously we've got the fund day coming up, so it will start to edge back to where it should be. Similarly with advertising, which is 42, you can see that the budget payments, if you like, for the year should be £1,500. Only about £1,000 has been spent, again, because it's been divided over 12 months. Similarly with additional maintenance, which is 44, you can see that this is more has been spent than was budgeted. Now, I reported on this last time because basically a lot of maintenance happens over the summer, and then that dies off over the winter when not so much is required. 48 is play equipment, and you can see that we're considerably more than was budgeted there, and as you are aware there is going to be considerably more expense on this, so I will just advise you that that budget heading play equipment is going to go over for the current financial year. Jane is very frugal, I think, so it's 65, the chairman's fund. Has only spent a couple of £100 so far.
Gosh, I was sorry.
So that's obviously under what we thought we would have spent. And finally, if I can just go back to number 37, toilet maintenance. Again, there is more that has been spent than was originally budgeted. Two reasons for that was the contract for the new sanitisers that have gone in, and the contract for the servicing of the hand wash basins. Obviously that will come back to where it should be because they were one-off payments, roughly totaling £1,100.
32, Richard, that's more, yeah.
Sorry?
32, sanitary maintenance.
What's wrong with
So,
that?
well, the estimated was 5.4 and the actual was
Yeah,
5.4.
we were charged 5.5.
Okay.
Good. So, I mean, when this budget was drawn up, obviously in January of last year, it was assumed that we would be charged the same amount by RCC, but it went up by £100. Okay.
Stan, you first, I beg your pardon.
Just a small thing, 16.1. Remove and recycle in basket. What's the story behind that, please?
This was a shop on Mill Street, the new shoe shop on Mill Street. They basically asked for 2 hanging baskets to be removed from the front of their shop because they were too large and were starting to obscure the windows. So we took both of them down. One of them replaced one on the front of the Victoria Hall that was looking a bit sorry for itself. So that was what that was.
I just want to stress how useful the last 3 pages of this are. and to congratulate Richard. When he's explaining these things, it may sound that it's a little bit vague to me. But what he's done is, as well as knowing how much we're going to spend during the financial year, he's actually split it down precisely as to how we were going to apportion those costs month by month. So I think he's done an excellent job of that. And the very last figure in the whole thing, the grand total, shows that at the end of August, it was anticipated that we'd have spent 122,000. We've actually spent 114,000. We're about 8,000 spent less than before. But I think, you know, it's a great credit to Richard that there's this degree of month-by-month scrutiny against the budget.
I agree, I find it really useful. Should we end up there? Sorry. Okay. Anybody else wish to make any comments? Okay, right. Can we have a proposal for accepting those? Paul, seconded by Stan. All those in favour? Thank you very much. The final item is a planning application. I believe Stan has got some information on that, right?
Yeah, it was a dentist, I believe.
It was my dentist. Yeah.
So that's where we are, Market Street, obviously, Castle, etc., etc. Everybody know where we are? Good.
Yeah.
What do we want to look at first? Basis sign?
Yeah, just look at it.
That is what they are. Members may be aware that there is a sign up there.
Yes, it's just sort of intact.
Anyway, but that is what Mrs. Charlton, I'm pronouncing it like that, wants to put up. Lime green, but right above the door. That's the that's the faces sign. The hanging sign similarly is going to look like that, and it's going to be on that side of the door again in that colour, lime green. And the final one is just the design and access statements. That's what it looks like at the moment, and this is the proposed colour of the door, pale lime. And there we are.
Okay, over to planning committee. What?
Sorry, I don't understand. Being a listed building, I thought I would question it because I know certainly down south there's issues over the colour of the door. I just wondered whether there was any covenants. The planning department actually incidentally said they would never know because it's in the documents. Anyway, I spoke to David Drupshaw, Conservation Officer. He's got grave concerns about this and he's negotiating with the applicants at the moment. Interesting, the sign that's already there has not been given consent. That was point one. The colour, we both agreed on the colour, that it was most inappropriate for a listed building. He did urge me to need to be careful perhaps what I say, but I think it would be easier for me to say that I would vote against this application.
I would like to make a point on their own document they've submitted here. It says they will not have a detrimental impact on an area of conservation. I think a lime green door in the middle of all that beautiful stone, on what is arguably, you know, almost the exact centre of Oakham, is going to have a detrimental effect. It's a beautiful tradition. It's the area of town we should be preserving the most. And I just do not feel that this is in keeping with the ambience you're trying to create in the middle of town. I would also recommend refusal.
Anyone else wish to make a comment? You look like you're
Just a question.
itching to speak.
Just a question. I mean, if I'm understanding where it is it not the same place as Santander and
No,
shops?
it's the street behind
It's
that.
one behind, is it?
On Market Street, so you go towards the post office on the left. The Fortress is to the right of that door.
Second building.
Not Fortress, sorry,
It's still fairly traditional in terms of colour and style.
the laundrette. That's it. The laundrette is sort of next door, isn't it?
All right, thank you.
So again, it's quite subdued compared to lime green.
It's the opposite there. You've got, I think it's a photography shop, which has got a black door. And that, further up on the corner, you've got Murray's, which is all red fascia. So with all the best will in the world, I'm really struggling with seeing why a colour would be challenge the...
There's another one is Spencer's, which is yellow, isn't it?
Spencer's was yellow, yeah. So whereas it's a change from the current colour of the door, but I mean, if we would go back to what doors were originally done, I mean, the door that's on the old Western Measures building on Station Road is now blue. Originally, when it was done in 1925, it was a dark brown oak colour.
What colour blue? Is it a listed building?
I probably thought it would be,
Yes.
because it was 1920s. So I'm not, I mean, it's not illuminated because we have quite strong guidelines on illuminated signs. This isn't illuminated. We've been saying earlier on in this meeting we're trying to encourage people to come into the town. I don't know if people can come in for a Thai therapy. If it was Thai curry, it might be different than that. But I am sort of slightly struggling with the colour. I don't find it objectionable.
With respect, Chair, I'm completely against that statement and in total agreement with the Conservation Officer on this.
Okay, so are you making a proposal then?
That we vote against.
Proposals vote, Stan's proposing against
On the grounds of...
The Conservation Officer said so.
No, I made my own mind up before I even phoned him. Normally we get a statement from the Conservation Officer. We didn't have one, so I wanted a statement from him, which confirmed my thoughts.
Okay, I apologise.
Do we have a seconder for that proposal? John? Stan's proposal. On the grounds of that it's not a colour that is supported by the conservation.
No, it's totally inappropriate for a listed building, particularly
inappropriate for a listed building in a conservation area. Is it just about the colour though? Is it just about the colour? It's about the style of sign
The type
as
of
well.
sign, it's going to be a plastic
Yeah.
sign that's almost going to look almost like the one that's there now, like it's going to be bolted on. The hanging sign, I would probably be past that, but the fact it's being sort of bolted onto the lintel, and it is fairly flimsy. So it's not just about colour.
So we've had a proposal not to accept based on being inappropriate.
Inappropriate colour for a listed building and also the size and materials of the signage.
Do you wish to add that you would support the hanging section?
Yes,
What does everybody...
Doesn't have to be a listed building in Oakham. Or in the town centre of Oakham. Because it's a bit ambiguous.
What does, is there any further comments about the hanging? So I think we should comment on that, so that's clearly part of this this plan, isn't it, really? Is everybody happy with the hanging section? Alan? I don't want to give us a half answer.
No, Chairman, I think we have to take the application as it stands as a complete application. We either support it or we do not support
Okay,
it.
fair enough. We can't add a comment.
I'm sure we can, Chair, but as a recommendation.
Okay. So, we'll go back to our original proposal then. Yes. Do you want to just read that out?
Reject on grounds that the colour of the signage is inappropriate for a listed building in the conservation area and the size and materials of the fascia signage.
So that's our proposal from Stan, seconded by John. All those in favour of that?
3, 4, 5, 6.
And against? 2? Oh, that's 8. So that is everybody?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I also have a minute.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our agenda items this evening. It is 8:37. Thank you very much for your time and efforts this evening. Thank you. Did you get my email for my travel expenses?
I've got to turn this off.